I'm trying to kind of bridge the gap to the afternoon, which is looking onto the effects of all of that, what we are doing, and we're in the lucky position in the case of Kassel that we now do have an existing system working for years, and so we can have a look onto that, what is the outcome of all of that. And so anyway, if we look onto regional connectivity and implications for growth, it is a difficult question because, well, economists, we do have some here, do not really know exactly what growth is. If we look onto the cause and looking onto transport as a cause for growth, we are in the difficult position that we're looking onto a typical hen and egg problem. Without growth there is no transport, without transport there's no growth. So having a clear empirical statement is very, very hard. But we have a good position in Kassel. We have the system for years, and we do have some very interesting, I would call them indicators, that show the positive side of the whole thing. So first thing is where Kassel is. You now know that already, and you know the connections to the international networks. Kassel has an ICE stop and station, and the first thing is that this is leading to a better access to Kassel, definitely since years, but it's many German cities that have this kind of access and that are not developing as Kassel is developing, and Kassel is having a very interesting economical development. And this is just not 1 year's number, and is looking at an economical thing that is very interesting. It is looking onto dynamic, which is the development of the growth rates over years. And so you can have a high growth rate in economical development for 1 year, but if you have that for 1 year, you normally don't have it in the second year. And now we are having data for 2 years. And it had 2012, it was the first place at the most dynamic city in Germany, a small city of 180,000 inhabitants in the center of Germany. And in 2030, it was still at the third place. So we do speak of something very, very clear and very, very obvious in this case. And so it's not just one single thing that is happening. There's obviously a stable and very, very obvious development. And this may have to do as well as with other things. I mentioned the university as well in an article in your famous paper, which is called The City That Came Out of the Shadows, something like that. And I mentioned the university as well, but there are other cities with universities, for instance Braunschweig, which are near the border to East Germany as well, the old existing border, and they should have developed in similar ways. They didn't. And Kassel did. And there is first this, that the advantages of the high-speed rail system are kind of transported into the region by the regional connection of the new public transport system, the tram train. The tram train is leading to that you have 16 minutes, for instance, from the city of Hofgeismar to get to the center of Kassel, to the ICE station, which makes this city interesting even for international congresses and things like that. So you can have something there without any problem and are having a stable and reliable link to the next station. But my main message comes now. This system is not only serving for the connectivity with distant places, it is a huge progress for the internal connectivity within the region. And this is my view, and I will show you some numbers on that, is leading to the economical growth. So some people that want to go from Hofgeismar to south to this small city of Melsungen, right through the city of Kassel, now can do that much easier. And the internal connectivity is high. Even the shopping center in Kassel is much more attractive now because people can move with a reliable system right into, you've seen pictures of that, the shopping center. This is the regional tram network, which is just only part of the rail and tram network. The existing rail network is there in addition and as well better. First thing, show you 3 examples. Housing, shopping and education, to show the effects of the system in 3 different areas. Housing. In Germany we have a development that many of you don't know, which is much different from Turkey. We have something that is called demographic change. We have regions that are getting less inhabitants and house prices are getting down. The further you get to the east of Germany and the further you get into rural regions, house prices do fall, and we have problems by diminishing population, especially the younger people get away. Not in those small villages that are connected to the tram-train network, and not happening in the region of Kassel. And you see that in all tram communities, except of Geismar, the demographic trend towards population decline does not occur, as everywhere in similar regions. There are higher occupancy levels than the average, which is not the place in other things. Prices for houses and flats rose in rural regions, which is very, very rare in Germany. And it's especially happening in those places where the tram train goes to. So you have a real effect here. Next one is the shopping. Shopping in Kassel is really a high volume, about €1.5 billion volume of sales in 2012. And so a lot of money is going into that. And we do not have as many of these malls and shopping centers on the motorways as in other regions. We do have some, but compared to other regions, it is less. And why is that? Because the public transport is getting the customers into the center of Kassel. The mode share here is impressive. You have here, actually, this is the statistics of the huge shopping center in Kassel. They actually mention things twice. If you go by car and using public transport, you are mentioned as car and public transport, so you have more than 100%. But it is impressive. Bus and tram 70%, and in November 59%. So it really is impressive what is happening here. The means of transport for shopping, and every time that something happens, accidents, strikes, it is a significant reduction in the economical performance of the shopping center of Kassel. And so these people are really dependent on the public transport. And it is helping to get these structures existing. Next thing, education. Some people say, what has education to do with public transport? Isn't this very theoretical? It's not. And I must say, it really is very, very interesting what is happening. Education systems are more and more important for regions and their economical performance. People that are staying in the region in education, that are then further after their education staying in the region and having a higher intellectual value of the places of work in the region, that are getting forward the region, are very, very, very important for a region. If people are getting out of the region, it is always a disadvantage. Here you see that the public transport is very, very, very important, and that the University of Kassel is only visited by cars, or people getting in cars, by 7% and 6% in the, this is the third one, cars, PKW, and drivers, and people that are going with the drivers. So you have 94% of other means of transport by car. So nobody, if this was a lecture in the University of Kassel, I would ask who did come by car. 2 or 3 of you would say, yes, we came by car. The others were not coming by car. So this is really impressive, and there's no other example in Germany of universities having these high numbers of public transport. What does that mean? Some people are staying with their parents as well. They get a close relation to the region, and the whole performance, transport is cheaper for education in the region. The road space is not full of students in the morning that are getting to the lecture by cars. You don't have a transport problem. So the economical performance of the region is really influenced by these numbers. So to give you the kind of key message I'm giving you by these numbers, and to make it short, I brought something with me. It's no banana, it's a tennis ball. And it doesn't get region of Kassel on it, it does Dunlops, it says, but it should have region of Kassel. What does this symbolize? What did I get that for? I say, if this is the region, it has external relationships. Where the air around, you see the tennis ball. So it's external connections. But the internal thing is the most important. You see, there's air pressure in it. If there wouldn't be something in it, it would be nothing. The more important is the pressure, the air in it, the volume of business in it. The connectivity in the region is much more important than that what is going outside. So the tennis ball is symbolizing a region which has power inside, and the power inside a region can only exist if the internal connectivity is high. So you get much more of a region if the internal connectivity is good than by even doing something for the external things. Sometimes you must even decide and say, well, the internal might be more important. And it is really, really necessary, because as well from the external things you don't have anything if there's no internal connection, if you don't get away from the station. And this is the main message of these numbers that we were seeing. So everything that is here, shopping and the internal thing of education and the land values, this is only possible because of the better internal connectivity of the region of Kassel. There is a university in Kassel which leads to economical growth. All these things are interrelated. It's just simple factors that are interrelated. But without internal power and internal transport, it would be just nothing. So I would say thank you very much, and I made it short. Think of the tennis ball instead of the banana. Thank you very much.